So we start today's session. People have connected from different parts of the world from different time zones. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all who are connected today on a Sunday, adjusting or postponing their other appointments. Thank you for all your energy and all your effort. Edu Extension believes in extending our knowledge through interactions, discussions, suggestions, and thus expanding our horizon of understanding. Today, we are adding one more link to the same thought and welcome you to today's talk on handwriting recognition, that is graphology. What is graphology? Yes. So graphology is the science of understanding human mind through analysis of one's handwriting. Handwriting bears the unique imprint of one's personality and with all its strengths and weaknesses. I'd just like to share my personal fear about this. When I started studying graphology, just after going through one book, I stopped giving the handwritten notes to the people because I got so frightened that I'm exposing myself and I'm with the handwriting, any graphologist can find out my weaknesses. But then I realized that that's not the fact, because this handwriting itself can improve me. A graphologist can suggest the measures going through my handwriting, and I can overcome my weaknesses by improving my handwriting. A graphologist, like the Bera sir himself, he uses handwriting as a remedial technique. So that way graphology has a very, very important role. Now, what happens in graphology? Handwriting is a fine motor skill linking all parts of the brain with the spinal cord, then sending impulses out to the hands and fingers. A perfect mind creates a perfect picture, and dysfunction in mind creates distortion of picture. So what is important? Important is to focus on our mind and have a very positive mind. So now we will see what are we going to do in today's lecture, in today's talk. Today's talk, we will cover all these points while discussing importance of handwriting, stages of handwriting, and importance of zones of handwriting, baseline, margins, and pressure. You see, when we write T, how do we write T? Where do we give the line of T? At the top part, or the middle part, or the lower part, and whether we write the T slanting to the right or slanting to the left, everything is being noticed by a graphologist. When we write I, where are we putting the dot of I? Are we putting the dot of I right on the top of I, or towards the right, or towards the left, or making a big round, or a small round, or a small dot? The graphologist's keen eyes reads it all. We have today distinguished lecturer Sri Parimar Bera, who will acquaint us to this science of understanding one's handwriting. I met Sir for the first time in Manovikas Kendra, an institution where both of us are attached. Then I attended an international virtual conference where Sir was also a speaker. And I got so passionate about this science that I requested him for today's talk. And Bera sir, being so busy, which you can see he is involved and attached to so many places, without a blink of eye, accepted the proposal. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our proposal. It was very, very difficult for me to put sir's introduction in such few words, but yes, I have tried. Sir is attached to Jadavpur University, University of Calcutta, Ravindra Bharati University, Bardhaman University, IGNOU, Manipal University, NIMH, NIEPMD, in different capacities. He is the BOS member, that is a Board of Studies member of University of Calcutta for B.Ed, which is extremely prestigious. He has participated and presented papers, articles in various workshops and meetings and conferences. If I sum up, somehow I've tried to put it, the professional experience of Sir as a lecturer. He's working as a lecturer in special education and in charge, special school autism and remedial teaching of NIEPID RC Kolkata, working as senior consultant in VCAN Learning Resource Institute Kolkata, working as a guest lecturer in the course of B.Ed under NSOU in the Study Center, Pradeep Center, and also Helen Keller Center, working as a guest faculty of Ramakrishna Mission Blind Boys Academy. Sir is also a content writer and translator. Worked as a translator for B.Ed, and he has also worked as a content writer. So a person who is so passionate about his subject, where he takes graphology as a way to treat such children, to improve these children. So we are really happy to have you, sir. And before we hand it over to sir, because we all are eager to listen to him, just a request, please keep your mics muted. At the end of the session, we will give you a signal of poll, which will appear on a screen. There are only 2 questions. Just tick mark in 2 places and please complete the same. This is very important for us because this will help us to decide the next course, whatever we are going to do. So I request you to complete that. And now, sir, it's all over to you. So, sir, you can take over from here.
Okay. Namaskar. And thank you, Malini ma'am. And thank you, AD Extension, for providing me such a wonderful opportunity to interact in an international platform. So basically, it's thanks to COVID also. So unless until the COVID situation happened, we cannot get such an opportunity to interact in an online platform in a various part of the country and as well as the globe. So really, it is an honor to me, and ma'am in such a way, ma'am was describing me. Basically, I am not that much senior. Basically, I am a junior person working for the child with special needs, and as well as graphology is not my passion. Graphology is profession, rather it's my passion. I like to analyze the handwriting and how the handwriting depict or handwriting analyze our mind or our thought. So that was my interest initially, and now I am trying to practice it. So today, basically my sessions will be given emphasis on the basic parts of the handwriting, because handwriting is a very large subject. It's really tough for me to describe it within 40 minutes, but I will try my level best to reach you with a few things like ma'am as rightly mentioned, like pressure, baseline, and even the suicidal notes. So how we can understand the suicidal tendency of an individual. So and our past life and future life, how we can describe from the handwriting, that part I will describe. So I am just sharing my PPTs. Please be patient and be thankful to all of you. So basically today, my, one minute. I think my presentation is audible.
Yes, yes.
It is visible.
Yes, we can see. Visible, yes.
Okay, just a minute. I'm just sharing the full screen. Sorry. Is it okay?
Yes.
Writing as an expression of behavior. So that is my topic. So basically, before going to the handwriting part, the few things about the writing. All of you are about the writing part, but basically, before we going to the graphological part, we have to understand the writing. So that's why few slides, 2-3 slides are I have given on writing. First, as you know, the writing is the medium of human communication that involves the representation of a language with symbols. Symbols it may be the symbols of Bengali symbols, English script, or anything else in any other language. Basically, language symbols are there and the representation is there. So, and primary condition is the communication. So in which way you are communicating with other, that is important. And as you know, the handwriting, it is not a very easy task. It is a really complex task. Why it is a complex task? Because three, four aspects are there. Here, one thing is a lower level. In the lower level, if we think about the lower level aspect, so then the perceptual motor process is important. And in the upper level, higher cognitive level is important. Basically, if your cognitive brain gives instruction to the motor function, but your motor is not able to represent it in a right form, you may not communicate to the other. So that is the important. That's why cognitive process as well as the motor process is directly involved in writing process and allowing the communication. Basically, the when your motor and the cognitive process jointly do something to communicate your thoughts to the others, and then the writing parts appears, and that's why it is a very complex parts. And one thing is here important is that it is not merely a mechanical or motor skill, motor skill. According to Richard in 2011 in his research, he mentioned that it's a brain-based skill. Why? As I mentioned in the cognitive process, so that's a brain process is involved. So writing not only the motor process, that you are writing something through your muscles or motor. Basically, your motor is instructed from your brain. So that it is requested to all of you, please mute yourself so that you can get my voice clearly. So it is it is not only a motor process or mechanical process.
Sir, please unmute yourself. We cannot hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so that is important. Here, the importance of writing, as you know, we write for communication, we write for our academic expression, we write for our social expression. Social expression means social things or social issues. We write for our emotional expression, and we write for our various ideas or inner thoughts to share the knowledge. And here the important is to self and others. Basically, we write something. Sometimes we write something for ourselves, and sometimes we write something for others. So whether we are writing something for others and whether we are writing something for self, in the both cases, motor and muscles as well as the brain function is involved. So when you are writing something by self, at night you are writing something to self, you may aware that I should not express my emotional pain, I should not express my depression, I should not express my stress, but because I do not have the trust to others, so that's why I am expressing myself through the writing. And if that copy, I can collect that copy, and you can if you can show that copy easily, I can understand what was going on that time in your brain. So how you're writing, your brain was thinking that time, that can be reflected and that can be understood from your writing pattern. I will describe later. Objectivity and validity of the writing part. So why do we believe the writing, or is there any whether it is objectives or whether it is subjectives? You may notice that sometimes, even if you now you have noticed in your writing, even in a one line or even in a one sentence, you may not find two T in a similar form. As the ma'am was rightly pointed out, in some cases the T bar is in a top form, top place, placed in the top of the T, and sometimes the T bar may be in a lower position and the T bar is in a middle position. So it is not the subjective subject, it is the completely objective subject, because as I mentioned earlier, that the handwriting is actually the brain writing. What your brain is thinking, that is reflecting through your writing. The second part is important also. The whole arrangement of the graphic field is individualized. Here the graphic is important. Sometimes you may say that my writing is changing, but when we will test it through our mechanism, when we will testing we may test through the graphical tool. That time we can easily understand what are the graphical pattern of your writing. So it may be the same, it may be look like the same, H-A-N-D, hand. So it's maybe look like the same, but when I will measure the graphical part, so that may not be the same, and it may not be, it may not be equal, or rather I can say it is individualized. Here I am talking about individualized means it is unique in nature. It cannot be matched with others. So when we will show that sometimes it may be happen that writers fraud signature is there. When it is sent to the graphologist, they test it the graphical part, and from there they can easily understand the what is the unique writing of the individual and what is the unique writing of the others. So from there they can easily understand which is the fraud one and which is the original one. That is the unique part of the handwriting, and that is the individualized. And from the writing, as our personality is, variability is there. Personality may be changed due to the environmental situation, due to the social situation, due to the family pressure, due to the emotional pressure, due to the environmental various conditions. It's depend upon the various condition. As a result, our handwriting pattern is also changing, and the changing pattern or change variability in the script means variability in the personality type. So I will discuss later how the changing pattern, from the changing pattern of writing, we can understand the personality. The handwriting is itself distinctively visible, measurable, and thus the objectives. It can be visible, so I can show you that it is a visible. It can be measurable. The tool is there. Through the measurement tool, you can measure the handwriting pattern. So that's why it's completely objectives. And the interpretation of the data is empirically based on experiment, observation, and the inference. So experiment is there in the handwriting research. Even the observation, keen observation is there. Even the slight difference, even the pen, we may say that there is a problem in the pen. We may say there is a problem in the paper. We may say there is a problem in the surface. But everything we can find it. Everything we can understand from the handwriting. And based on that, we can inference the what is going on within the individual or within the child. So interpretation of data, it is based qualitative, and since the minimum degree of differences may occur as per the research norms. So when we are talking about the qualitative research, there is some sorts of differences may be happen. So as the handwriting is a qualitative research, so based on that, there is a minimum degree of differences may happen from the one graphologist to the another graphologist. So stages of writing, how the writing develops. Basically here I am trying to few 4-5 stages. From 28 weeks to 40 weeks. Within that weeks, evidence of hand preference in neuromuscular motor movements initiated. So whether the child will be left-handed or the right-handed. That means whether the child's brain, left brain is dominated or the right brain is dominated. It can be identified or it can be initiated basically from within the 28 weeks to 40 weeks. Or that when the child is initiating something with his or her right hand, that means his left hand is dominated. When child is doing something with his left hand, that means his right brain is dominated. So sometimes it may happen when the child is started doing something with the left hand, we may complain, the parents may complain, please try to write in the right hand. So please, here my suggestion is, please do not change the handwriting pattern, or please do not change the hand preferences. Whether if the child is comfortable with the left hand, please allow the child to do the activities, do the day-to-day life activities, do the academic activities with the left hand, because it is not based on the left hand or the right hand, it is based on the brain function, whether the left brain is functioning predominantly or right brain is functioning predominantly. That basically decided whether the child will write or child will do activities with the left hand or the right hand. 1 year onwards, and the learning hand preferences, basically hands initiated, and the hand preferences it clearly visible or initiated within the 1 year. 4 years, the 3 fingers give, which is important for writing. So holding pencil can be noticed within the 4 years. And in the 5 years, develop clockwise, anti-clockwise, vertical and horizontal movement can be from, which is very important for forming a letter. So basically is the P-writing stage. Most of you are from the academic background, most of from the teacher education or the teaching background. So you may award the clockwise movement, anti-clockwise movement, vertical movement, and the horizontal movement is very important to form a letter. Even to continue the, in case of English language, to continue the one letter to another letter, to make a sentence, to make a sense, or movement is the clockwise or anti-clockwise movement is important. So it may be developed within the 5 years. Within 6 to 7 years, basically tri-finger grips manipulated and tracheal pressure. Pressure here it is the important. How much pressure you will give. So whether we will give the light pressure, whether we will give the heavy pressure, it may be tackled. Sometimes the child may write one side and the imprinted, the reflection may be noticed in the next page. So whether the child is able to maintain the pressure or not, that can be understood. That could be developed within 6 to 7 years. Eye-hand coordination, increase the integration of visual, auditory, and tactile skill, and mastering directionally and sequential skill. So which I have mentioned, it may be started in the 5 years, and it may be developed. The child may be mastered in the clockwise, anti-clockwise movement, horizontal and vertical movement, when the child reaches to the 6 to 7 years is old. So now I am going to the main part of the. So you may see the picture I am showing in my PPTs. So basically, this is the human evolution. So if you see it, that our evolution started from the water, and gradually the vertical movement and horizon. Then it's may 1,000 years of stories uh, to make the human being in a standing positions. So there is a standing position before the standing. So that means the started human behavior or the life started from the water, then the surface level, and then the sky level. So there is basically, if we see it clearly, we can see it that there is a 3 stages we can found. That means energy, from where the human evolution or the evolution started, where the energy started. That means the lower part of that is water, or the below the ground. That means the lower part of the ground. So if we think about the feet position, the level of the feet or the landing positions, so that under that the energy level was started, and from there, that means if we see our writing, there could be a 3 part. One is the lower zone is there, and the middle zone is there, and the higher zone is there. So basically, lower zone, that the like G, Y, A, the lower part of the letter lower parts is there. So basically 3 parts of the letter are there. Was the lower portion, one is the middle portion, and one is the upper portion. So basically the zone is there. One is the lower zone, one is the middle zone, one is the upper zone. This zone position may be evaluated from the human evaluation and from the evaluation of the human being. So you could find it from my this slide, the zone of life. That means lower zone is there. From lower zone, that means G, the lower portion of the G, Y, lower portion of the Y, lower portion of the J, lower portion of the P, lower portion of the A. This basically reflects the lower zone, and it is our material zone from where the energy may be generated, from where we can get our energy, and it is basically our driving force. It is our it is basically the previous experience of our ancestor. So basically lower zone later reflect the unconsciousness. We may not aware what is under the ground. So that is basically reflected throughout the letter G lower portion, Y lower portion, A lower portion, P lower portion, Q lower portion. From that part, we may understand, and we may not aware about that. That is our driving force, that is our E, and that is our energy level also. From there, we can get the energy. And in another way, from the psychological point of view, we can say that is our unconscious mind. So we may not aware about the unconscious mind. So I may not aware about my energy. I may not aware about my eat. Even I may not aware about my the driving forces. So it can be easily understood from the lower portion of the letter, or lower zone of the letters. So it may be reflect our unconscious zone, and from the Indian philosophy we may say it is our soul or hell. So from a soul position or the hell position, we can if we want to notice it, we have to see the lower zone of the lower zone letters. And the middle zones, basically this is our if you see the surface, above the surface of the land, so that time the social zone, that the social behavior developed, you and I relationship is developed, how that ego is developed, how my ego interact with the environment, how my ego from taking the force from the lower zone, how my ego wants to interact, wants to challenge the environment, wants to challenge the unknown person of the environment. That means I am going to the one phase to the another phase. So how we are dealing the unknown, how we are dealing the unknown, or the you, basically I, some portion of the I may be known to me, but some portion of the you may be known to know. So how I interact with you, that can be reflected, but that can be understand, and but that can be understood from the middle zone letter, like M, N, O, P upper portion, A, S upper portion, S. So from from the middle zone letters, we can easily understand our unconscious, or sorry, our consciousness, basically our own experiences, and how our experiences wants to negotiate with the environment, negotiate with the internal body. That is important. So here, from the middle zone letter, we can understand that unconscious mind, ego, negotiating, and the internal body versus environment. Even our internal part and the external part, the conscious and the unconscious mind, can be understood from the middle zone. And the upper zone later basically reflects our mental level, or the intelligence level, or it may be the higher consciousness, the superego and the refined experience. So basically it is our driving forces, and it is our directing forces. In the even the ancestral time, as you know, the pilot, or the sailor may notice the position of the sea, sorry, position of the sun, position of the moon, to get the road direction. So that is the upper portion. We may get direction from the upper level. So here the upper zone letters, like upper portion of the T, upper portion of the H, upper portion of B, B, so upper positions. So that is our upper zone, and from the upper zone we can easily understand the higher consciousness, our superego, and even the refined experiences. And from the academical point of view, we mention it is our guiding force, it is our directing force, it is our morality. So how you will deal with so your youth may enforce you to do something, your ego may negotiate you, but your superego guide you whether you will do it, or you don't do it. So it basically controlled by the superego, and which is counted, or which is understood from your upper zone letters. Now I am going to the margins. So margin, it is an important aspects of writing. As you know, if you see the page, I am just showing you the page. So basically there is a margin in the left margin, as you know, is the left margin, is the right margin, and upper margin and the lower margin. So left, right, upper and lower. First I am going to discuss about the left margin. So I am going to discuss about the left margin. So left margin, as you know, internationally standard left margin 2.5 inch to 3 inch. Gap is there, and it may be shown in the red line, through the red border is there. You may notice the red lines or red border. You may say that means it is your controlling margin. You should not cross. You should not cross that line. So 3 centimeter margin, from your 3 centimeter margin, I can easily understand your past. That means from the early childhood to present situation also. So you have practiced that you should give the 3 centimeter margin. But when you are going to write something, whether you are entering into the left margin or whether you are going away from the left margin, that's maybe reflect your past. How do you want to deal with your past? So left margin, in case of left margins, from the left margin we can easily understand the whether the person is lived in the past, and the mother figure, how mother figure can be maintained, how the mother and child relationship can be maintained, and how was the mother reaction when you are in the childhood, that can be easily understood from the left margin. And even the bond with the family and the bonding with the family and the family background, even your trauma age, if there was any incident, there was one bad incident was there or not, it can be easily understood from your left margin. It represents the emotional and the psychological stability of the individual, regularity of the left margin. Or irregularities or regularity of the margin, whether you are maintaining the regularity, that means you are, I will add it, that time, whether it's a regular, it is a regular form or it is in an irregular form. From there, I can easily understand your psychological and emotional state of mind. When the individual is exposed to situations that are difficult to face or pleasant, regression and retraction or expansion is reflected in this margin. So whether, so how was the situation in your past? So that could be easily understand from your left margin. That is important. And from your right margin, if you see the right margin, so right margin, maybe there may not be any margin. So right margin may be created by the individual. That means you are going from the left side. In case of English writing, you are going from the left side to the right side. So left side your past, so you want to move to the you want to move towards the future. So how you are moving towards the future, that can be understood from your left margin. So how much you want to take the challenge, how much you want to go to the unknown, that can be understood from the right margin. Just I am showing one writing skill. So please see, there are the right margin. I have just the how many. So you have to cross. So in between line is there. So pace is there. So whether another letter can be from there in the gap or not, that from there we can understand. If you draw a line, so that is your right margin, and from there I can understand how much risk-taking behavior is there within you, and how you would like to like your future, and how you would like to take the risk. So from your right margin, the vision, he has the futuristic or the expectation, initiation, trust, and degree of intro and extroversion. On the contrary, when the advance on this margin without control, it reflects the impulsiveness and the lack of control. So you may write here, and next line you may write that. So if there is a gap from one line to another line, so it may be it may be so it may be represent that. So you are in a impulsiveness is there. So impulsive behavior, we can understand the impulsive behavior from the right margin also. So from the left margin, emotional stability, and here the impulsive behavior can be understood. So sometimes you may take the risks, and sometimes you may afraid to take the risks. It can be understood from the right margin. And the superior margin means in the upper part of the this part. So first line of the so where I have started like this handwriting sample. So the individual started writing from there. So that means the gap is there. So how much gap is there in the upper portion? So from there we can understand the courtesy, good manner, ability to control impulses, and the self control. And the inferior margin, that the lower portion, in the last line of the border of the sheet of the paper. So that means when you have to change the page. So inferior margin basically the decide. So when you have to change the page, when you have to take the risk, so how much control do you have, it can be reflected from your inferior margin. So from the lower portion of the margin, I can easily understand whether you have so how much control do you have whether you have a self-discipline or ability to adaptation to the new task or the situation. How you want to take the risk, or want to change the task, you want to change the situation, you want to change the unknown place to the known place or known place to the unknown place. It can be reflected from the inferior margins. Ghost margin, sometimes it's maybe happens. So if this is the page, sometimes the only the middle of the page is writer may write something, but rest of the page are maybe blank. So that time it is a ghost margin, and from the ghost margin we can easily understand the child may be neurotic symptom. He may be referred to the psychiatrist or the psychologist for the better treatment or the intervention. Baseline. So baseline means when if you draw a line below the middle zone of the letters. So if you draw a lines from left to right, maintaining the zones, middle zone letters, below the middle zone letters. So the line which will be created, that is your baseline. And from the baseline, we can understand few things. And the baseline is there basically the normally state baseline, ascending, descending, or the erratic baseline. Normally state baseline. If it is a normally state baseline, that means you are self-motivated, you are reliable, mind control, emotionally stable, and unconflicting, but unflinching or unconflicting. And a rising baseline, that means the baseline is from the baseline, it may be just rising. It is above the baseline, and it is towards the upwards movement. We may notice the upwards movement in the writing pattern. So from there we may understand the ambitiousness, hopefulness, and even the optimism, and the attitude, positive attitude, or the attitude towards the work, that can be understood from the rising baseline. And the falling baseline from means the not feeling hopeful, seeing more chances of failure than the success, and the sometimes it's a pessimistic attitude is may be shown from the falling baseline. And from the erratic baseline, emotionally unstableness, unpredictability can be understood from the erratic baselines. Now there is a question of the space. How much space we will give to the letters, how much space we will give to in between words, and how much space or how many sentences you have written in a A4 size space. From there we can understand few things. First, I would like to discuss about the letter space. From the letter space means in a writing, in the words, there is a like letter, L-E-T-T-E-R. So L and E, how much gap is there between L and E? How much gap is between the L, E and T? That means ego, whether your ego is ready to go or ready to initiate with the others, ready to go to the unknown places or not, that can be easily understood from the letter space. And your time for yourself, so whether you are getting time for yourself or not, that can be easily understood from the letter space. So time for selves can be understood from the space that we have read in the and in the word space, time for others, how much you are basically from your social zones, how much time you are spending with your friends, your social relatives, and the others. So that can be easily understood from the word space. And the sentence space, that means how many sentences are there in a A4 size space. From you have to count it, and from the the counting, you can easily understand the plan about the words. If it is a below 20 lines, up to 20 lines, then the below average performer. If it is there is a 20 to 31 line, then in the average performer. If it is 31 to 40 lines, that the good performer. And it is the 40 and above line, that's the high level of performer planning to work. So we can easily understand the planning to work. Now the spacer, basically there is two spacer. When we are writing something, so reflection can be seen from the opposite portion, or if you just rub it and just you can feel it, so you can easily understand the how much spacer the writer is giving in the page. And from there we can understand, we can predict, or we can interpret it. If it is a heavy spacer, that means the very deep and enduring feelings. May forgive but will not forget, feel situation intensely, sentimental, too many lazy, attached to childhood memory. So from the heavy pressure we can understand. From the light pressure, that may be endure traumatic experiences without being seriously affected. Emotional experiences do not make a long lasting impression. cannot work at a stage, tendency for search for a light job. So from the spacer itself, we can predict these things. And please see this line. See here, the please see the A. It is called backstop A. So here we will have to notice letter A. A. So it must be the first letter of a word and of a sentence. First letter of a word. It starts in such a way like A, which I have shown in my slide. So A. This is the backstop symbol. That means that he may be very good in front of you, but he may backstab you. He may be harmful to you when he will when he may be backstab you from the hiding position. So it can be noticed. So when you will interact with the others, if you see such type of symbol, you have to be cautious and you have to be careful. And this is the symbol of liar. That means if it is a loop is created in between O, so that is the symbol of liar. If it is two, like LWP loop, if it is created in a two form, so that means the pathological liar. That means the person is telling lies, but it is not in his or her control. Secretive, it such type of formations from such type of formation of the letter, we can understand the person is secretive. That means that he may be sharing something, but he is hiding something from you also. So if the child is doing something, that means you have to notice keenly the child, that the child may be hiding something from you. And please see this line. So it is very important. Here I am just the word at the end of the sentence and invariably drop. If you see the last line, wife, for the last words and the last letters, it is invariably dropped. The words dropped at the end of the sentence, and each and every in the sentences, the last words and the last letter of the words is dropped. So this is one symbol. Please notice this carefully. And the sudden drop in the last before the second line last from the last word of the second line. In Americans, it is invariably dropped. So dropped at the end of the second line. It is invariably dropped. If you notice such type of symbol, all the words in the three lines dropped at the end. Again, there is it is the words last words. Uh, Sorry, please, all of you are requested, please mute yourself. So last words at the end of the sentence is basically dropping down. So this is the symbols, and it is sudden drop in the baseline. So I have already talked about the baseline. So if there is a gap, like there's a baseline, there was a sequence, but suddenly there is a gap between the two lines, two baselines. So if such type of symbols maybe occur, that these are the suicidal baselines. So if it is noticed in any one's handwriting, so you have to cautious, you have to consult with the professionals if you have to take the help, because the suicidal, as you know, the suicide may not be an immediate decision. There may be a plan at least 3 to 6 months before suicide. Even who jumped into the metro station in Kolkata, it's a common incident, jumped into the railway stations. Even it is not that the sudden that persons went there and jumped into the metro rail or the train. It is not happen. The persons may visited earlier there that place. He has planned at least before 3 to 6 months, and then he committed suicide. So and when he is planning, he was planning. So that time, from their writing, it can be depicted. It can be understand the child, the person is planning for suicide. So that can be easily understand, because as you know, the suicide is a permanent, is not suicide is a permanent solution to the temporary problem. So we have to be cautious so that the life can be saved. So thank you. Over to you, Malini ma'am. Sorry. Hello.
Ma'am, please
Malini,
unmute
please.
yourself. Ma'am, please unmute.
Unmute.
Share the screen.
Yes. So what I find that the sir has really tried to reduce the entire conversation, the entire slide into, and try to make it very compact, because in some of the slides I could see the time spent is 8 hours, which he has done it in 8 seconds or 10 seconds. So how much he has made it compact, I could see to that. And we wanted time for question and answer, because everyone must be eager to ask and clarify their doubts. So whoever wants to put the questions, please unmute yourself, and sir is there to answer. So we start the Q&A now. Those who want to put up some questions, some queries.
Yes, please feel,
Yes.
please feel free to ask the question. Because graphology is a really very tough subject. It's really tough to take that session on online, but still I am trying to my level best to teach you how to do.
Yes. And also you can put your videos on, because we'd like to see you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please. Yes, ma'am.
So all of you, please put your videos on. It's a pleasure to meet virtually.
Please.
Yes, Olivia.
Hello.
Yes. Anupadi.
Yes, Olivia, please.
So if someone is having some problem and that was noticed through graphology, can anyone can change that pattern
Yes.
or fix that problem?
Yes, it's
and
called
handwriting, by changing handwriting.
I got your points.
Can we overcome that problem?
Okay, I got your points. So basically, you are asking whether the graphotherapy or the graphological pattern can change or can minimize the problem or not. That is your question, I think. So yes, it is called graphotherapy. So graphology can be used for identifying the problem as well as to eradicate or to minimize the problems too. It is called graphotherapy. So, when we are changing the letter pattern, we are changing the word pattern. That means we are changing our brain pattern also. So simultaneously, if our brain pattern changes, the writing pattern will be changed. And if we change our writing patterns also, our brain pattern also will be changed. So in that way, so graphotherapy is there to change the problems. So yes, it can be possible. It can be possible. Through the graphotherapy, we can change the problem.
Hello, this.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
If somebody wants to do, if someone wants to do the course, where can we go?
So
I would be interested in doing this course. It's so interesting.
So you are from Siliguri, I think, BDG.
Yes, I am Shweta from Siliguri.
So you are Shweta from
the
Siliguri.
network is actually very poor.
So I have completed my course from
nice
Kolkata.
To see you.
So in Kolkata, there is a center, Kolkata Institute of Graphology. My teacher is Dr. Mohan Bose. I have completed my basic degree and the advanced degree on graphology. So you can contact there. You can get it from the website also, Kolkata Institute of Graphology. And due to the COVID situation, graphological courses are available online also. So you can join there. So I prefer you could understand. You can join in the regular mode.
Yeah, very interesting thing to know.
Yes. So someone is asking that the in
thank
case
you
of
so much. It's thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir, for really it is eye-opening.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, ma'am.
Shweta, thanks for joining. Can
okay.
all of you keep your videos on, please?
Actually, the network is so bad over here where I live. In between the sound goes, and if I switch on the camera, audible.
Okay, one thing is there. So someone is asking the cursive writing. There are loops, but you said the loops. So whether, ma'am, it is due to the cursive writing or due to the wrong instruction from the teacher's side, the result will be the same. So it is whether it is a forceful decision or it is a natural decision to write, and if there is a loop, that the result will be the same, ma'am. So it is really it is tough. If the teachers be careful, so that the loop like middle tone letter AODG, AODG, it is basically the oval shape or the circular form of the letter. We should not uh, or we should not corrupt anything in the loops, or we should not corrupt anything in the oval. If there is anything within the loop, there is a problem. There is a problem. So we should maintain that.
Sir, in the same context, when we do calligraphy writing, it leads to a lot of loop, you know, to make it.
No, yes, ma'am. When we are doing the calligraphy writing, so from the calligraphy, we are not analyzing the handwriting pattern. Basically, we are handwriting pattern from the general writing pattern, general writing form. So it is when the person is writing in the calligraphy form, it is not for handwriting purpose.
Okay.
Sir,
Thank you,
I
sir.
had a question. Like when you usually, like if you give it to a individual that this is for your handwriting analysis, doesn't that mode complicate the brain and say that, oh my God, I'm going to, so there's a change
No.
in writing,
Just
or
okay. I got your point. So
yes,
basically, not like that, ma'am. Basically, it is a session. I am just awarding. Just it is for the understanding what is graphology and how we interpret the graphological interpretation. But when we will interact with the client, so that time we will be careful that from your I should not say I should not tell the client that your A is like that, so your problem is going on. So we will say the problems only, the limitations only. And as a result, in the field of graphology and in the field of psychology also, it is very important. We should not emphasize on the limitations. We should not emphasize on the weaknesses. We have to accept the client what he or she is. The first foremost condition is we should accept the client, and then only we can change the problems. So we should accept the child with his limitation, and then only we will give the suggestion. This is your limitation. This is your drawback. If you do it this way, so you can change your problem. So you can overcome your limitation. That will be our conversation. We should not tell the client that your A is like that, so that's the problem is occur. We should not tell that. Basically, this is our session. So that's why I am telling all these things. But when we are dealing the client, that time we should not tell this.
thank you, sir. Thank you for the clarity.
Yes, more questions coming up. This is an opportunity. Please clarify your doubts.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
More questions coming up. Sir, I found few slides very, very interesting.
Yes,
And the first was that writing for self and writing for others will
Yes.
have the different formation.
Yes.
Because when you write for self, emotion is different, and when you write for others is different. That was a very, very interesting part of the talk. I mean, I could never perceive the thing from that angle, that yes, it will be so different. Then the way we have started from the beginning, that how with the different age groups, you know, the formation starts taking up. So this is yeah. And generally what we find, if a child is left-handed,
yes,
we say that, okay, why don't you write with the right hand? And many times we see that the parents force the children to write with the right hand because they feel that that is the right way to do it. Whereas it's not related to the limbs at all. It is all related to the mind. So
Yes,
that was again a very, very interesting take. And as we educators, because most of us are educators here, it's in general also very good, but for we educators, it's certainly very, very important. Then how the human evolution, which you have given in the zone of life, can be connected to this. I could never imagine that the human evolution is connected to the graphology, and it has so much of impact on graphology.
Even ma'am, just I would like to share one thing here. Even the
Yes.
industrial revolution is also direct impact on our handwriting on industrial levels. Industrial revolution directly related to our handwriting pattern. Even the cultivation movement is directly impacted in our handwriting movement. Even it is a advanced level part. Even our cancer, gallbladder stone, even the pain in any parts of our body can be easily identified from the handwriting. Basically, it is an advanced part, medical part of the graphology. So it's a very minute part. If we could understand that level also, we can easily Even for the gallbladder stones, even the problems in periods can be easily identified from the ACE, right? ACE, letter ACE. From the formation of ACE, we can understand whether there is a problem in the periods or not. So it's a very interesting part also.
Wow.
You can, if you change it, the ACE, formation of ACE, so the periodical problems can be changed. So it's really interesting part.
Wow. This is really, really interesting. That means we have just not even done the complete A of this graphology. Not even G we have touched now.
Yes.
There is so much to go into that, so much detail. And sir, but the one part was really, I was quite, I should say, taken aback that how the graphology can deal with the backstabbing and the being the liar and secretive and the suicidal baseline. So
Yes.
these 4 slides were, especially the first 3. I mean, it should not happen that whenever we see any handwriting, we start interpreting it in that way, because we are too immature at the moment to really do that. And I'm also worried for my teaching fraternity that it should not happen that when we start correcting the answer papers, we divert our attention towards graphology and start looking at that side, because examination is going to take place now, the board examinations also. It was just the humorous part of the discussion. Very, very interesting discussion. Any more questions, please, coming up?
Ma'am, it was very interesting.
Yes. Now, okay, so I'm just putting the poll. You see the 2 questions will appear on your screen. You just have to put the tick mark. Have you?
Ma'am, it was very interesting.
Yes, the polling is on. Yes, please, all of you, please complete the poll.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, I will also request, we have another graphologist in our audience today. And I think the best way of giving the vote of thanks will be from her, because she must have understood the most out of it. So may I request Shraddha, she herself is a graphologist, to please extend the vote of thanks to sir.
Good evening, all. My heartfelt thanks to Mr. Parimal Bera, sir, for such an enriching session. I'm sure after we just end this session, all of us will be looking at the left margins of our handwriting, right margins, superior and inferior margins, and what do they depict about us. The participants are indebted to him for creating an impeccable interest in graphology. Those are very much valid from the chats which we have just received, that people want more sessions on graphology. The unique presentation was spellbinding, and every minute detail was touched upon with such simplicity and precision that created the magic and interest. I also pay my gratitude to Mrs. Goyal, who thoughtfully provided such a platform to all the keen learners. And I must say, in fact, I have attended most of the webinars. The webinars she conducts and organizes are so informative and educative that gives us a food for thought. And as educators, I think we need this as a catalyst to improve ourselves and enhance ourselves better. Thank you so much, and happy handwriting analysis for today of yourself.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you so much,
Shraddha, ma'am,
Shraddha.
and thank you all the participants.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
thank you, everyone, and we will request everyone to be connected till the next session is.
Thank you, sir.
We will informing you all. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.